going to talk about the different color schemes that we will be using in our own Andy Warhol inspired piece. On our color wheel are red, orange, orange, yellow, orange, yellow, yellow, green, green, blue, green, blue, blue, violet, violet, purple, and red, violet. So these are the colors on our color wheel. The first color scheme that we are going to talk about is called complementary colors. Complementary colors are colors that are exactly opposite on the color wheel. So, if I look at my color wheel, I really want to know what would be the opposite of purple. So if I have purple right here, the direct opposite of purple would be yellow. So did you know that LSU chose their logos because it was complementary colors? So purple is complementary to yellow. Let's do another one. Red is complementary to green because red is exactly opposite on the color wheel to green. Blue-green is exactly opposite on the color wheel to red-orange. Red-violet is exactly opposite of the color wheel to yellow-green. And opposite on the color wheel to blue-violet. So, complementary colors are exactly opposite of each other on the color wheel. The next color scheme that we're going to talk about is called analogous colors. So that happens when we find four colors that are directly next to each other on the color wheel. So if I wanted some analogous colors, I could choose blue-green, blue, blue-violet, and violet. These four crayons right here would be analogous colors. I could also choose blue-violet, violet, red-violet, and red. These four colors are right next to each other on the color wheel. Analogous colors are any four colors that are right next to each other on the color wheel. Let's do one more. Another example could be red-orange, orange, yellow-orange, and yellow. These four colors are right next to each other on the color wheel. So that's the second. The final color scheme that we're going to be talking about is the triad color scheme. So the triads are three apart on the color wheel. So our primary triad is going to be red, blue, and yellow. That's our primary triad. Our secondary triad would be green, 3 steps away, 1, 2, 3, purple, 3 steps away, 1, 2, 3, orange. So orange, green, and purple, green, and orange would be our secondary triad. But triads can be anywhere on the color wheel. If I started with blue-green, I'm going to start blue-green, 1, 2, 3, and our next color would be red-violet. 1, 2, 3, and our next color would be yellow-orange. So this would be a tertiary triad. Let's find another. If I start with yellow-green, 1, 2, 3, and we have blue-violet. 1, 2, 3, and we have red-orange. So triads are 3 away from each other on the color wheel, and it's 3. All right, now that we've started talking about our Now that we have started talking about our color schemes, we're going to pick our colors that we are going to use for our pop art portrait. Now, we're all going to pick something that is popular in our own hearts. For me, I love coffee. So the item that's popular for me is going to be a mug of coffee. And the way that I'm going to draw my mug of coffee is I'm going to draw one mug in each place. But before I could do that, I'm going to pick the colors I'm going to use. This first section says Artist's Choice. This is the colors that I'm going to use to color my normal cup of coffee. But you're going to have a different item that's popular for you. These are the colors that you are going to choose to color that item. It can be any color you want because it is Artist's Choice. The next image that I'm going to be making is for complementary colors. So two colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. I know that red-orange and blue-green are opposite each other on the color wheel. So I'm going to color these in with my complementary colors. I'm just going to do a little scribble scratch right now so that way I can remember my colors, but I'm going to go back and color in the whole thing later. For analogous colors, we remember that those are four colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So for those colors, I'm going to pick blue-green, blue, blue-violet, just regular violet, and blue-violet. So I'm just going to do a little scribble scratch so I remember my colors, and I'm going to go back later and fix it. And then for my triadic colors, I'm going to pick three colors that are away from each other on the color wheel. So red, orange, and then I remember orange, yellow, yellow, green, and then green, blue, blue, violet. So I'm going to grab my blue, violet, and these are going to be the three colors that I do for my triadic colors. Now I'm going to color these in first, and then after I have a minute to think about my popular item, I'm going to go back and color in my Artist's Choice. So let's check back in a few minutes to see our finished color schemes. For my Artist's Choice, I'm going to pick any colors I want, and they can either be my colors from the color wheel or they can be colors that are not on the color wheel. Because I know that the popular item for myself is going to be a cup of coffee, I decided to get some brown crayons to be my Artist's Choice color scheme. I'm also going to do a blue-green and a regular blue to go along with my cup of coffee. So whatever colors you choose, we are going to put those in the Artist's Choice circle right now. All right, here we have it. We've got all of our color schemes for our pop art piece. For the next step of this project, I'm going to need some watercolor paper. I use this Canson XL watercolor paper. You can get it at Michael's, but also if you don't have any of this water paper, please send me an email and I can put some of this out for you in the front office to pick up. So if you need watercolor paper, please send me an email. So I'm going to get out a piece of my watercolor paper and a pencil. Now, I am going to draw 4 items that I think are popular for my pop art piece. And it can be all the same item, it can be the same theme of an item with a little different twist to it. Like I said earlier, I'm going to draw 4 cups of coffee. Now, if you need something to base your drawings off of, feel free to look up an image on the internet, feel free to look at a book. Do what you need to do to make your art perfect for you. So I'm going to start off by drawing my outline lightly with just a regular pencil. All right, and now that I have my basic outline for my design, I'm going to take a black permanent marker to go over my design. Now, I chose to do 4 different types of coffee mugs. I can go in and even add some little things like some design elements like stripes or polka dots to make my art pieces a little bit different too. So you could do this, or You could make all 4 of the exact same items, kind of like Andy Warhol's banana prints. He just did 4 bananas that were exactly the same but different colors. So do the type of art that speaks to you. I'm going to go grab my permanent marker and trace over my outline. Now I have my mugs. This one is plain, but I think I might add a design to it later. So I'm gonna save this one for last. Now that I have my mugs drawn, I'm gonna get out my color schemes page and I'm gonna try to color my pictures the same way that my color schemes are drawn out. Now, if you'd like, because we've done Sharpie with permanent marker on watercolor paper, you can do watercolors for this project. But remember, if you have a color like blue-green or blue-violet, you will need to mix blue-violet and blue-green with the secondary and primary colors to create this image. So I'm going to do a mixture of both watercolor and crayon, because things like this little M right here are going to be pretty difficult to do with a watercolor alone. So I'm going to do a mix of watercolor and crayon for this. All right, I'm going to get started, and I'm going to start off, I think I'm going to start off with my analogous colors. And just to show you how that's going to work, I'm going to make sure that you guys see how that can work with watercolors. So if I'm ever going to use watercolors, I need a few supplies. The first thing I'm going to need is a cup for water, I'm going to need a towel to dry off my paintbrush so I can clean it between colors, and I'm only going to pick 2 paintbrushes for this project. I have a thicker paintbrush that has a flat edge for precision, and I have a little tiny paintbrush that's going to be for getting the details. And then for my watercolors, I'm only going to use this 8-pack of watercolors, and that's all I need, because all of my colors that I'm using besides my brown are just going to be mixtures of other colors. So I'm going to get started with this mug right here. So for my colors, I have blue-green, blue, blue-violet, and violet. So let's start off with the blue-green. I'm going to use the blue-green to get this bottom color right here. So I'm just going to take some blue and some green, and I'm going to mix those together to get this beautiful blue-green. And if I compare this color to my color wheel, I need a little bit more blue. And the more water you add, the lighter it's going to be. This color right now is very dark because it's a lot of paint. So if I want it to be a little bit lighter, all I need to do is add some water, and now you can see that blue-green is starting to show up very beautifully. And I'm also going to paint that right here, that beautiful blue-green. So remember, more paint is going to give you a darker color, more water is going to give you a lighter color when you're painting with watercolors. All right, the next color that I'm going to use is going to be this blue-violet. So now I've got some green in my blue from mixing earlier, so I'm just going to get that out of there by washing my brush and drying off my brush. And now I'm going to mix the blue and the violet together to make my blue-violet color. Let's see. So that's still a little bit too blue for me, so I'm going to add some water to my violet and mix it up. And still a little bit too blue, so keep on adjusting. That's the beautiful thing about watercolors, is you can just keep on adjusting. Here we go. Now we can see a little bit of that blue violet color. I'm still gonna add a little bit more violet. Here we go, that's the color I want. All right, blue violet, there we go. Okay. All right, my friends, so there you have it. We have our artist's choice color scheme. We have our complementary color scheme. We have our analogous color scheme. And we have our triadic color scheme. And now we have a beautiful piece of pop art. Now, an optional choice that you can do if you'd like is you can paint a background on your pop art piece. To do that, you would take a pencil and lightly divide this into quadrants. And mine are not completely even, so my background might be a little bit off, but that's okay. And I can paint the background of my 4 pieces of my portrait, 4 different colors, to make my art pop, similar to Andy Warhol's portraits. So let's see how that turns out. All right, there we have it, our Andy Warhol inspired piece with the background. All right, my friends, I hope that everybody has a minute to work on their own Andy Warhol inspired piece. And whenever you submit your work, you can either email it to mzamora@stpniels.com or try to submit it at the Google Classroom. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. See you next time for Art with Miss C.